All right, all right. What's going on? How you doing? Welcome back. I got something I want to talk to you about. It's really strange. Lately, my life has been very calm. Everything feels very stable. I don't feel like I am constantly at war with myself anymore. This is what it feels like to actually and finally feel good, feel okay. And the strange thing about it is it's kind of fucking boring. Let me adapt on that because isn't it ironic that something that I've essentially been chasing for most of my life, feeling good, feeling okay, and I've obtained it, and now I'm discontent with it? Isn't this funny? Isn't just the essential, like the definition of the nature of the mind, to always be at resistance with what is? It's not actually boring. It feels that way, but I feel like I'm at a plateau. I feel like I've ascended this mountain, and rather than standing at the top with my, cape blowing in the wind, staring down at the rest of the world, I've found myself on another flat plain with another mountain range off in the distance. But the good thing is that I completely understand that the plateau that I'm on right now is at a much higher level and a much higher mountain than the mountain that I used to be on, the one that I used to live on, the one I was trying to escape so hard for the last decade or so. It's funny that, we just get so discontent when there's no drama in our life, right? All this chaos, all this ascension, ups and downs, and lessons and suffering and dark nights of the soul. And now that it's gone, it's like, well, what do we do now? And it wasn't like this a year ago. 1 year ago, almost probably to the week, I voluntarily put myself into an initiatory process using techniques from the great psychologist Carl Jung, things like dream work and active imagination. Practices like the LBRP and ceremonial magic. These rituals helped me restructure my mind. And over the last year, I've made more progress than I have in the previous probably 12 years combined. And it's crazy because about 12 years ago, when I was in my mid to late 20s, I was in a very deep, dark place. It was also the time period of my very first awakening, but I was very, very low in a bad place. I wanted to change my circumstances. I wanted to change my mental health, my physical well-being, my financial situation. I wanted to change it all, and I was thirsty for knowledge. I read all the books, right? I read all the self-help books, the personal development books, how to win friends and influence people, right? How to not give a fuck. All the books you can think of. And I learned that, it's not just about reading the books. You got to put things into practice, right? So I started learning new skills. I started, building discipline, eating clean, ice baths, long distance running, networking, learning sales, wanted to run a business, right? All the stuff that we go through, trying to figure out life, right? I felt like if I if I thought long and hard enough that I could figure everything out. I could use my intellect to analyze the world and overcome it. And I tried and I tried, and it's been a long road, and I have a lot to say about this personal development path. I feel like it's a big trap in itself. But it's almost like during this time period I became like a dark wizard, right? I was trying to use my intellect to analyze everything, to figure everything out. And because I did that so much, I went deeper and deeper into my mind and became a ruminator, an overthinker, an overanalyzer. And I quickly got engulfed by the quicksand of my mind. And I finally came to the recognition that my mind has been my prison. I've been trapped in it for so long, and I've conditioned myself to be a thinker. And that is a hard program to rewire, especially when you're trying to build an awareness practice, right? To be more present in your life, be more centered, to raise your consciousness. It's hard to do that when you're constantly, you know, clinching onto the monkey mind, the chatter that's going on in your head constantly, and you're constantly being engulfed by it. And another pattern I noticed during this period of my life is that, although as the years went on and I started to improve my financial situation and I started to feel a little bit better and I started building that discipline, I was still struggling with depression. I couldn't overcome the depression. I couldn't overcome the anxiety, like all of this stuff that was happening inside of me. I just couldn't overcome it. And I started recognizing this other pattern with people. This certain type of person would always enter my life, this certain archetype of person. And they always knew how to press my buttons. They always knew how to get under my skin. And as soon as they would, it was like this social chess game engaged within me, turned on, and I had to play the game. I was immersed in the game. I had to figure this person out. I had to dominate this person. I had to tear them down to build myself up. You're going to make me feel this way? Oh, well, you're going to get it 10 times harder now. And this is what I did constantly. I tried to dominate people. And if I couldn't dominate them, or the situation that I was in, the workplace I was at, the social dynamics, the whatever was going on, if I couldn't, I would sabotage it. I would burn the boat. I'd jump ship because I couldn't face it. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't overcome it. So I just quit and I would leave and I'd go on to the next venture. And the honeymoon would start all over again. The cycle would start all over again. And then, that honeymoon period would end. And then I found myself in the same situation over and over and over again. And it wasn't until this last year that I just finally, I surrendered. Because I finally realized that this archetype, this person that I kept meeting in my life was not my enemy. I kept always making them my nemesis. They weren't my nemesis. They were mirrors. They were mirrors that were triggering the parts of me that I haven't dealt with yet. They were showing me to me, whether they knew it or not. And I just got so sick and tired of it at one point that I surrendered. I threw my hands up and I dropped all of my masks. Because I built up a lot of masks over the years, things that, they helped me survive. They helped me get that external validation, that thing I was constantly looking for to make my insides feel better. I was trying to get it from the outside. So I was always the funny guy. I was always the smart guy. the competent one, the one with charisma. And if anybody else had these traits better than me, their traits were better than mine, I was diminished. Oh, they're better than me. Oh, always comparing, right? Couldn't figure it out. And so, yeah, I surrendered this year. It was this time last year that I was surrendering. I'll go into this initiatory process a little bit deeper, maybe on another video, but it was pretty intense. But I realized something. I realized that I did not have a thinking problem. My problem wasn't dependent on me figuring it out. It wasn't a thinking problem, it was a feeling problem. All of the stuff that I was pushing away, all of the emotions, all of the pain, the suffering, all of it, I didn't want it anymore. I wanted to relieve myself of it by resisting it. And that's the most counterintuitive thing you can do with that. And I quickly learned I had to feel it. I had to feel it. Most people don't realize this. And this is what I was speaking to earlier about this personal development game. It's all about thinking your way through problems. And most people don't understand that they need to feel their way through it. It's all somatic. Nervous system regulation. It's all of these samskaras, all of these traumas, these events that I stored within my body from the past that I never dealt with. They were stuck in there and the outside world kept triggering them. And rather than processing them and letting myself release them, I would just shove them down deeper. Tuck those under the rug and deal with those later, except later never came, you know? And so that's when the process really began. It's when I got quiet. I stopped explaining myself. That was one of the, masks I used to wear, is the over-explainer. Making sure that everyone saw me in the right light. Their perception of me was the way I wanted it to be. I stopped doing that. I stopped explaining. And I got to tell you, learning to be okay with being misunderstood is a superpower. It really is. Sitting there knowing that you're being misinterpreted and you not trying to retell the story that they're playing in their head. Let them think it. It gives you leverage. I learned about leverage. I learned about silence. I learned about the power of silence. I learned a lot this last year. But mainly with this nervous system regulation, I learned to burn up all the dead wood of emotion that was stuck within my body. And it still comes up and it still arises, but I know how to process it now. It burns through me cleanly. It sparks up like a match and then flares out. And that's what you want. And then I use my awareness as a bridge to get to the place where I am now. And I say all of that to say this. If you're in a place that I'm at where you're finally finding some stability and some peace and some calm in your life, your mind is quieting down, don't sabotage it. Don't sabotage it because you're so used to the chaos, to the roller coaster of life, the ups and downs, because even this stability, this plateau that I'm feeling, I know it's not going to last forever. This too shall pass, as they say, right? There will be new challenges. There will be new lows. But I think the point is not to let yourself get caught up on any of it. Don't let yourself get dragged down by the low feelings, and don't let yourself get too high by the praise or the external validation, or even just the way you feel about yourself. Like, I mean, it's good to be happy, it's good to feel, but it's it's this false security that we're getting from these emotions that are not us, right? They're not us. We're not our thoughts, we're not our emotions. We are the centered stillness behind all of that, that is witnessing it all. And so, yeah, when you get to this place, you know, when you find peace, it's often not fireworks in the sky. It's just a quiet Tuesday night with nothing going on. And so, you know, that's the biggest lesson that is coming through me right now. And I wanted to offer it to you in case you may be going through something similar. And I hope that this helps. And I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. And, you know, maybe I'll see you on the next one. All right. Peace.